Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at 6 predictions for the Whiskeyverse in the year 2026. Run the video. All right then, folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. We have a very enjoyable episode coming your way where we look at 6 predictions that I have made for the Whiskeyverse in the year 2026. So we just recapped our 2025 predictions in the last video. So if you haven't seen that, you definitely want to go and check that out after this, or maybe even before this, because it could be a nice little segue to today's video. So we're going to dive into 6 predictions that I have personally made. So last year we set the stall out on a few different ones, and we're going to continue to do that this year too. And this is the last opportunity that you folks have at home to be able to purchase one of the Whiskey Cove single barrels. This is the Doc Swinson's Doc Figgy Pudding in a collaboration with the Whiskey Cove and Doc Swinson's. This is my first ever single barrel pick. This is the last opportunity you will get to be able to buy this bottle before Christmas, to get it before Christmas. And we are running a special on this right now. Well, if you buy 2 of these, we will give you a free glass. If you buy 3 of these, we'll give you 2 free glasses. And these are all the Whiskey Cove glasses, by the way, too. And if you buy 4 of these, because you might have some gifts that you want to give, we'll give you the whole glass set. And a lot of you folks have been supporting me by buying the glasses, so I really, really appreciate that. These are the Whiskey Cove branded glasses, and this is just a really good way that we're able to give back for you supporting me on my first ever single barrel pick. This is a Whiskey Cove Doc Swinson's, around 8-year, finished in an Armagnac cask. That Armagnac cask is 27 years old, so it's a really interesting bottle, a bottle that I'm very, very pleased with. There's QR code on the screen right now. Go over and get yourself one. This is the last opportunity before Christmas to be able to purchase one. So my first prediction for 2026 is we're going to see distillery closures, and they're going to be more at an accelerated pace. So I kind of made this prediction last year, and I'm going to continue to do that. In the last video, I talked a little bit about Westward Whiskey brand going away, but some of you in the comment section corrected me and said that they did file for bankruptcy, but they're doing okay now. So for 2026, I am going to make this prediction and say that we're going to see more distillery closures, and we're going to see the level of distilleries in terms of the how big they are increase. Last year, we saw distilleries like Dick go into like what we call like a hibernation mode, where they weren't really producing anything. They had everything on pause. I think we're also going to see some of that too. But what I'm really expecting is not one of the massive or big distilleries in bourbon and in American whiskey to shut down, but I'm thinking something maybe mid-tier. Someone who's maybe put this stall out too much, and now that the whiskey market is cooling off a little bit, some of those bills might get caught up. I don't want to see it. I don't like being a pessimist. I want everybody who's involved in whiskey and who really enjoys it for what it is, do well. This is just a prediction that I'm making because of where the market is at right now. I think we have some tough times ahead, and I think in the year 2026, we're going to see some bigger distilleries close their doors. So my second prediction is, in the year 2026, we're going to see some whiskey that's going to produce or come out be branded with an AI component attached to it. I really think that we might see a bottle come out that is going to be like a little bit of like an AI collaboration, where AI has been able to come up with a mash bill that maybe a lot of people enjoy drinking, or maybe come up with a whiskey that there's a lot of flavor and tasting notes. We've seen so many whiskey finished in different barrels, and I think this might just be a kind of like a little bit of a play on that. Yes, this isn't going to be it might be finished, but maybe not necessarily. Whether it's going to be something that picked by master blender and master distiller, but perfected by AI. I don't know what the AI component is, but I can almost see it. It's going to be on a bottle of whiskey. So in 2026, we might see a collaboration with a distillery and an AI component, which will be really interesting to see. Can a machine do better than a master distiller? Wait and see. That is my second prediction for 2026. So my third prediction for 2026 is harder to find bottles are going to become much more easier to find. I think this might be more of a layup. I don't see the amount of consumers increasing in the whiskey world, but I do see the amount of harder to find whiskey getting put out. And I've been really seeing this at the back end of 2025, where I've been going into different stores and I've been seeing a lot of bottles that for many years I've chased and chased and chased that are now just sitting on shelves. Yes, there could be the price of the bottle could have something to do with that. The prices are going astronomical right now. So your midwinter night's dram that you were paying $90 for around 4, 5, 6 years ago is now priced more 150 plus. Some stores are marking up prices, but I think that's just a small component of it. A lot of these bigger distilleries that have made so much whiskey during the whiskey boom are putting out a lot of different brands. For example, Buffalo Trace Distillery released many different labels in 2025 because they just had a massive expansion that just came online. And I think we're going to see much more bottles like EHTL Single Barrel, Small Batch, different labels from the Buffalo Trace Distillery be findable. And I think that will go for stuff like Heaven Hill, that will go stuff like Jim Beam. I'm seeing Bookers everywhere. I couldn't even get my fingertips on that bottle like 7 years ago. And now it's literally in every corner shop here in Colorado. Yes, priced at around $100 plus, but that is my example that I'm using. Bombergers, Shanks, I'm seeing that in most places too. Different Old Forester blue labels, Old Forester black labels that I was never seeing. Or maybe if I was seeing a few years ago, it was being sold out really, really fast. So the third prediction is harder to find whiskey. Maybe some like lower tier allocated stuff is going to be much, much more findable in 2026. But that's good news for us bourbon drinkers as opposed to us bourbon flippers. So my fourth prediction is going to be the continued death of whiskey single barrels. And I mean that in the sense of your generic whiskey single barrels that used to sell out as soon as they dropped into a store. We're going to see a continued death of those. I feel like there's going to be fewer distilleries releasing just run-of-the-mill single barrels. As an example, 1792 Full Proof bottled in bond. Those single barrels used to sell out straight away. Now there's stores around by me that have had the same single barrel for like 2 years or so. I think there's distilleries that are going to have to think a little bit about their game plan when it comes to single barrels. I think what we've seen is a lot of stores just accept single barrels. I made a video about this earlier in the year that talked a little bit about kind of the downfall of a store pick single barrel. A lot of stores, just like I said, accept a single barrel. They don't taste it. It's not really unique to them. It doesn't really have any story. And I get why some of these do it, because it's time consuming going to taste a whiskey barrel. Maybe some stores don't know how to taste a single barrel. So then they just accept it and then they're kind of stuck with it. I feel that I've seen single barrels stick around even from like the year 2022. These single barrels are still available because they're being told maybe by the distributor, you might be the only person in the state to get this single barrel, so it'll sell out straight away, and then they get it, and then they're kind of stuck with it for a very long time, and that can be really, really difficult for it. I think that maybe some of the best single barrel picks, like your Wellers, your Stags, the higher end Heaven Hill stuff, I think that will still be around, but I think a lot of that stuff will move behind closed doors. I feel like with the pinch that maybe stores are feeling, or maybe with the kind of whiskey community that they've already built up, we're not going to see all that good stuff being put out. I think that's going to kind of change hands behind closed doors. And what does that mean? Well, you know, we all know where the whiskey market is right now, so stores do what is best for them. Next up, and number 5 on this list, and that is going to be, we're going to see tastier, more affordable and findable whiskey this year. What do I mean by that? Well, take Green River, for example. Green River have done a really good job of understanding where the whiskey market is at right now. they've put out a bunch of whiskey between the prices of like $30 and $50. They put out a small batch, a single barrel, a wheated bourbon, a wheated single barrel, a full proof, to name but a few, all within that price category, and all very good whiskey for the price that you pay. So I do feel like they've understood the market. I feel there's going to be more of that moving forward. So bottles like Knob Creek, you can get those like 9, 10 year Knob Creeks. I think they're going to continue to do really well. That is fantastic whiskey at a really great price and is very, very affordable. So I feel like there's going to be distilleries that are really going to understand that understand that there's a market for that, and people want that. So I really think that we're going to see different distilleries bring online more stuff like that, and then that is just going to be talked about a lot more than maybe these harder to find whiskey bottles that we all love to be able to get from time to time, but it's just mostly not possible of late. I think that what we're going to see is, with the excess inventory that distilleries like Buffalo Trace, that distilleries like Heaven Hill, Jim Beam, who have put so much money into making so much product in the last 5 years with the whiskey boom, they're going to have so much excess whiskey. They're going to be putting out brands around that price point. So I do expect to see a lot of that on the horizon. Bottles that are maybe less gimmicky and just really focus on flavor and what the distillery is all about. So I think an exciting time if you like to shop between the $30 and $60 price category. Already you can find some excellent whiskey in that price category, but my prediction is we'll find tastier, more affordable, more findable whiskey that bigger distilleries are putting out in 2026. Before my sixth prediction, what we will do at the end of the year, into 2026, we will do another review video. We will look back at the year 2026 and look back at this video to kind of see how we did, like we did in the 2025 one. So definitely be on the lookout for that at the end of next year. I know that sounds like a long time right now, but the years are flying by. So number 6 is going to be the rise of the whiskey cocktail market. So I do think that cocktails have become quite big in 2025. Not only do I think distilleries understand that, not only are distilleries putting out blended cocktails already in their own branding, but we're also seeing like Sazerac put out 100 proof rye and a full proof rye, and I've specifically said on record, we're putting this out because it's going to be phenomenal on a cocktail. And I think we're going to see other distilleries put out whiskey under the kind of branding that this bottle is perfectly designed for a cocktail. I think that cocktails have become one of the main entry points in the whiskey market. I think that maybe the more like the run-of-the-mill people, when they view whiskey, they maybe view it how I used to view it when I was a lot younger, as drinking it neat or drinking it straight. It just tastes of alcohol, it just tastes of burn. It doesn't really have much flavor to it. Or actually, if you think about whiskey where we know that it is now, it is so much more complex than that. It is so many different flavors in whiskey. There is an awesome community in whiskey as well. And it's just all around a great experience. And I think that cocktails are going to be a really good gateway for that, because people are going to enjoy whiskey cocktails and they're going to really see the whiskey shine. So then they might lean more into trying new and different whiskeys. So I think we will see maybe more people drinking whiskey from that avenue there. I think that what we'll see at restaurants and at bars is that they'll expand their cocktail menus. Maybe there'll be a local bar or a local restaurant near you that they've never done cocktails. And I think in 2026 they might expand their menu to be able to offer some of that for us consumers, but also for people who maybe have generally drunk like beer or cider or something fruity before, and they'll get to try a cocktail and they'll get to try whiskey, and then that will get them more involved in the cocktail market. So I think it's really interesting in the year 2026. We went over 6 predictions that I have. Distilleries closures will sadly accelerate. I do think we might see some more closures this year, and we'll see bigger closures too. I think we're going to see a whiskey bottle paired up with some sort of AI experience, or in like a whiskey brand in collaboration with AI. I think we'll see something like that. Third is going to be harder to find. Bottles are becoming more available. I do think with the amount of whiskey that producers have made in the last few years, there's going to be a lot more product to go around with less people drinking. and more whiskey beginning putting out. That means good news for us whiskey lovers at home. I do then think that the continued death for whiskey single barrels, I feel that there's just not enough connection with the consumer and the generic whiskey single barrel at a store. I feel like consumers want more of a connection to a single barrel. They don't just want to get they just want to chance their money on a generic whiskey single barrel. They want to know the story behind it. They want to know people who picked it. They want to get to know the person's palate. We are smarter than ever when it comes to the technology we have on demand in our pockets and the information that we know as consumers. So we're going to ask more. So I do think we're going to see a dip in whiskey single barrel store picks. And then number 5 is going to be tastier, more affordable, easier to find whiskey. Your Knob Creeks, your Green Rivers. I think that's just the beginning. And I think what we'll see is a lot of these bigger distilleries turn on to products around $30 to $60, which again is really good news for us. And then lastly, number 6 is going to be the rise of the whiskey cocktail market. I think the cocktail market is a great gateway for folks who don't normally drink whiskey to experience that in a cocktail, and then kind of takes the next step and find out exactly everything what bourbon can be and the wonderful community that is attached to it too. So there you have it, folks. That was my 6 predictions for 2026. I would love to hear your folks' predictions down in the comment section, and maybe we'll include some of those predictions, my favorite ones, in the video next year. So keep an eye out for that. And if you want to support the channel, as always, like, comment and subscribe. But if you really want to support the channel, this is my first whiskey single barrel pick that I've ever done. There's not ever going to be another one. This is only ever going to be my first. This is the Doc Swinson's Figgy Pudding. Get it now and you'll get it before Christmas. And again, we're doing that great deal with the free glasses on that too. So as we say on this channel, as we drink through the world's whiskey, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.